Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, deplorables. Welcome, all you dregs to society, all you rock dwellers, all you sycophants, all you stinkos, all you hateful people who celebrate the president and honor America. Those are not my words. Those are the words of those wonderful reuniters out there like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, and others. They're all on the left. But this is the Conservative Commandos radio show, and you're always welcome here. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And joining me as my co-host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada, and that's Sharon Angle. Sharon, welcome back. Welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Thank you, Rick. You know, last week was kind of a crazy week for me. We had received some information from analysts that said that 8,000 of the 40,000 that we said didn't exist, were dead, or had moved away in our state actually voted. So how did that happen? They hadn't voted since 2010 or before. Some of them had never voted. We feel like those people were registered by Acorn when they were here, you know, along with registering the Disney characters and the Dallas Cowboys. So we know that we have bloated voter rolls here. We have, as you know, off and on I've spoken about this, how we have been to the Secretary of State early on in the summer asking her to clean up the rolls. We've been to court saying to the court in October, please don't allow this new law, this new universal mail-in ballot to be enacted. Don't do that, because we will have chaos in the elections. So much wrong. They're complaining now, of course, about signatures not being able to be verified. Well, we told them you're not going to be able to verify signatures when you allow anyone over 65 to have anybody sign their ballot. So it doesn't have to be attested to by the person. It's just if you're 65 or in a vulnerable population, anybody can sign your ballot. So of course, when they go checking those signatures, they're not 99% of them. In fact, a little more than 99% were passed through. They just said, oh, that's okay. You know, so there was just a lot going on in that law, and we said, this is going to be a problem. And of course, the court said to us, it's hypothetical. We don't believe there is voter fraud, and if there is voter fraud, it's insignificant and will not affect the outcome of an election. Well, lo and behold, here we are again. At this juncture, we are now saying to them, not only did we tell you so, but we want you to fix this. So we charged it forward yesterday, and our attorney Joel Hansen wrote that those things were evidence of very loose and ineffective controls against the commission of fraud in the election. There is no way to know under these circumstances what the actual vote count should have been when systemic fraud corrupts the whole election. The only remedy is for the court to void this election and order that a new election be held. Interestingly, yesterday also they did a canvass of the vote in Las Vegas, and there was a county commission seat where the one fellow lost to the other fellow by 10 votes. And so they brought in evidence of fraud. And in fact, all last week, we've been on the ground collecting that kind of evidence, just making sure that our tallies were right and that what we were saying was exactly right. And so over 150,000 votes in this commission district.
Wow. By 10 votes.
Huh?
And it was settled by 10 votes.
And 10 votes was the difference. Over 150,000 votes. And the commissioner said there were enough discrepancies that they were going to call for a new election in that commission race. Well, here's the rub. those commission races overlap other races. They overlap state legislative races, school board races, city council races, um, state legislative races. I think I mentioned that. Congressional races and also the presidential race. So all the way down, those 150,000 votes become really important in
They do.
all the
Well,
races
Sharon,
up and down the ballot. So they should
well,
have just declared a new election, which is what we're asking them to do in the first place.
that makes sense. Hey, Sharon, we got a little bit of good news yesterday, and I want to mention this. Our very good friend and alumnus here on Conservative Commandos, a former co-host of ours, Burgess Owens, has been declared the winner in Utah's 4th Congressional District. His opponent, Ben McAdams, the incumbent, has conceded defeat to Burgess, and so that's great news.
It is great news. We were watching his race on election night, and as we were watching his race in Utah, we were watching Arizona, we were watching California, Washington, Nevada, all of these race results come in. And I remember George Landreth, our conservative commando, he says, what's going on? This press bunch, they're not really following the results. No. They are calling these races before there's even enough evidence coming in that the race is a winnable race by whoever they're calling it for. I remember we watched them call the race for Biden in California, Washington, and Oregon before there was one vote counted. And that was happening in Utah with Burgess's race too. He was down most of the night. They were saying he's going to lose, he's going to lose, he's going to lose.
He was down by like 10 points at one point.
That's Sharon. Right. We were really, really concerned. And then all of a sudden, things started to change around. And I think that's exactly what happened, because toward the end of the evening, and I know you recall this, it was about 1 o'clock my time, but 3 o'clock your time, they said, we're not going to count any more votes. I've never heard of that. Since we've had television and watched the results come in, they've always just continued to count until all those votes are counted.
Well, Sharon, not only did they say we're not going to count any more votes, but then they say we're not going to declare the president the victor in these states because we know there's outstanding votes out there. They knew at that time, I say they knew the fix was in. They knew what was out there. They knew where these votes were coming from. They knew how these votes, what were on these votes, and they weren't counted, Sharon. This whole thing has been such a fraud perpetrated on we, the people. There's got to be new elections, Sharon, in Philadelphia and Atlanta and Macon, Georgia, in Phoenix, in Las Vegas, in Reno, in Michigan, and in Detroit, in Milwaukee, Philadelphia. We need new elections, or we must go back to the count. You know, they said ballots collected after midnight or whatever that weren't. We got to go back to those numbers, Sharon. Either we go back to those numbers, or we've got to have new elections. In my opinion, that's the only way we can ever solve this fairly.
Well, there's 3 things that really need to happen as far as we're concerned here in Nevada to make us whole, because we need a remedy. The first one is a new election, but the second one is we have to have our voter rolls cleaned up, because if we don't, we're going to be doing the same old thing, expecting a different result. So we found 1,411 people who were registered to vote in Nevada, registered to vote in California, live in California, that's where their residence is, and yet they voted in Nevada. So we have a real problem here with those voter rolls. We also found a list of 8,000 that we've been scurrying around over the last week, going door to door and saying, we're looking for this person. And so often the answer is this person is dead. This person doesn't live here anymore. I don't know who this person is. You can't vote from a business. That's where some of them have been registered. So we're finding all kinds of stuff, anomalous stuff that tells us that those voter rolls have to be cleaned up before we can have the new election. They have to be taking people off those rolls. Otherwise, we're going to get some of the same results. And then finally, that new law that we talked about in Nevada, that mail-in ballot, I think that it's pretty much a unanimous decision, at least by those people who've been bitten by it, that the mail-in ballot is just a huge opportunity for fraudulent activity. And I think that's exactly what Hans von Spakovsky has been telling us all along. We've had him on several times on Conservative Commandos to tell us just that thing, that the mail-in ballot is an opportunity.
Sharon, what I think has to be happen, if you want to use the machine, fine. But I think the machine should print a paper ballot that comes out of the machine, that people can verify. They can look at and verify, yes, these are my votes. And then you take this paper ballot and you put it into a box. All right, a sealed box.
You're going to love this. Those paper ballots here in Nevada, I have a picture of them. They came out of the machines. They're in a box, all right, and they have all kinds of sticky tape all over them. They are all jumbled together. It is the most amazing picture, and you say, this is a nightmare.
Well, it is a nightmare.
How can that be a true ballot when they are so carelessly taking care of them?
Well, Sharon, let's take a break. And, on the other side, I want to talk about some more stupid political correctness. And again, we want to congratulate our friend, our former colleague, our co-host alumni here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, Burgess Owens, for his victory in Utah's 4th Congressional District, Congressman-elect Burgess Owens. And Sharon, I am so happy, so proud, because one of my goals here on Conservative Commandos has always, always, always been for one of my co-hosts to be elected to the U.S. Congress, and that's Burgess Owens. I am so happy and pleased about that. But you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos, which today's show, like all our shows, is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Sharon and I will be right back. We'll let you know who our guests are and the topics for our conversations.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And Sharon, we've got three great guests joining us once again. You're on Conservative Commandos.
Yes, we do. Our first guest is Paul Preston, who is the founder and president of the movement for the state of New California. Paul is also the host of Red State Talk Radio's Agenda 21, and we're going to be getting into it with him. How do you get the state in two pieces, like Virginia and West Virginia? So he's going to talk to us about that. Jay Homnick is our second guest. Jay is a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research, and he is also a reservist in the Israel Defense Forces. He's written a book, Bullet In from Sinai, The Moral Case for Gun Rights, and we're going to talk to him about an article he wrote, King's Gambit, What's at Stake in Georgia Recount? How long can Joe Biden remain above the fray? Our final guest is Dr. Rich Swier, and he's a longtime friend. He's also a military hero. And we've asked him to come on and talk about how we should unmask America and stop the lockdowns and enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas, and also the 4 pillars of election fraud.
All right, Sharon, something I wanted to talk about, and this is an example of how we get such poor people serving our country, bad legislators, bad leaders, how they don't pick the best person for the position, and how we got to be so politically correct. This political correctness fungus. I could use other words, Sharon, but I'll use the word fungus. But everybody out there, you get where I'm going. Black Lives Matter. This group, Black Lives Matter, which Joe Biden, remember Joe Biden said there is no Black Lives Matter. It's an idea. Well, Black Lives Matter has launched a petition calling for the California Governor Newsom to appoint a black woman. A black woman. It's got to be a black woman to fill this seat, the U.S. Senate seat, that's being vacated by Kamala Harris when she's sworn in as vice president. And they say appointing a black woman to this seat is non-negotiable, according to this idea called Black Lives Matter. I don't know who's speaking for this idea. This must be done. Black Lives Matter Global Network wrote, directing the Democrat governor to either appoint U.S. Representative Karen Bass or Barbara Lee to fill the seat for the remainder of the Harris term. If there's not a single black woman in Senate, then the Senate is simply not a poor representation of the people. Well, it's not a representation of the people. People vote for these seats. It's not supposed to be a representation by sex or color. And so, Sharon, I'm demanding Governor Newsom, I'm putting this out to our audience on our 9 TV stations in California. Governor Newsom, I'm demanding you appoint a bald white man for that seat because I want that representation to look like me. You understand? Governor, that representation has to look like me. A bald old white guy. Sharon Angle, this political correctness, if they really want political correctness, okay, this appointee must be black, must be female, and somebody that slept with Willie Brown to get their start in politics. I mean, Sharon, if we want an exact match, we've got to pick somebody from Willie Brown's stable of beauties, of black beauties. We got to be politically correct here, Sharon.
Well, I think the interesting thing is that Dr. Nasser Sheikh did a little sleuthing on Kamala Harris, and what he found out was she's not black. So what's the problem? You know, they're really asking for something that doesn't exist. Kamala Harris is of an Indian nationality, East Indian nationality from India. She's also Jamaican, and the Jamaicans don't consider themselves black. Neither do the East Indians. So, you know, there's a problem here. There's a real problem. It's like Elizabeth. It's like Elizabeth Warren representing the Native American nations when she doesn't have any Native American blood. It's just so disingenuous. And the Black Lives Matter, really, all they're trying to do is throw down what they think they have as political clout, because they're thugs and terrorists. They've used a force in our United States that is just shockingly outrageous and wrong. Our founding fathers gave us a constitution so that we could have civility. When we disagree, we could disagree with our First Amendment rights, and there's a bunch of them there, to be able to disagree. But this idea that you go in rioting, burning, and looting, and then you call that political standing is just absurd.
Oh, they are threatening the governor. They're saying this is not a one-way street. We show up, and now it's his turn to do the same. In other words, okay, we're going to continue to vote for you only if you give us our way, Governor. Sharon Angle, we need the best person, the most qualified person to fill that seat. And Sharon, seriously, I don't care if that person's black, white, blue, green. I don't care if that person is a man, a woman, and a he, a she, or whatever. You know, I don't care. I don't care if who or what they are. Sharon, they need to be the best person. And this is where we get in trouble with this political correctness garbage, this fungus, this excrement, Sharon. Sorry to use those words. I could use other words, but that's what it is, Sharon. That's why we get such lousy representation. Sharon, got to go to a break and get our first guest on. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle. Yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And who's our first guest? Well, our first guest,
Paul Preston.
Going to be Paul Preston. And Paul is the founder and president of the Movement for a New California State. Don't go away. We'll be right back right after this break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And I want to give a shout out to folks who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa and Villages, Florida, Las Vegas, Reno, and Sparks, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network on stations in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Wine Country, Silicon Valley, Redding, and very soon in Carson City and in Reno. And Sharon, speaking of our viewers, especially those in Northern California, we got a very interesting guest joining us today. Please make that introduction.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Paul Preston, who's the founder and president of the Movement for the New California State. Paul is also the host of Red State Talk Radio's Agenda 21 Radio. Paul, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a delight to be here.
Well, we're talking about how do you end the Golden State tyranny. West Virginia broke from Virginia. New California must break from California. Really, we've been hearing about the state of Jefferson. We've been hearing about this movement for a long time. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, actually, we started, a lot of us did, with the state of Jefferson back in the day. A lot of us actually started looking at a new state around 2000, 2001 in that time frame, because people started to realize something had to be done in California. They could see the tyranny coming. And so we linked up with the Jefferson movement. At least I did. I was with the Jefferson leadership for a number of years, and it looked like they were pretty much going to do something which I objected to, which was to take their cause to the courts. Now, it's an honorable cause. Of course, they were trying to get rid of the Reynolds versus Sims decision, which is a decision that's been absolutely devastating on rural America. And it's actually devastating now on the entire country. And we're seeing it all play out right now, as you've seen with the state of California, which right now is technically bankrupt. It doesn't have the ability to pay for its own schools. Everything's closed down. The governor is deliberately trying to squeeze businesses out of the state. I mean, it's just really a tyranny. None of us are safe in California. We don't have a Republican form of government, and we're not free from invasion, which are the critical elements in Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution that all states must provide. So what we did is we broke away from the Jefferson movement and formed the New California State movement, and we took a real long practical look at what would it be for a new California, and there were a lot of different scenarios floating around. In fact, if you take a look at California's history, it's been since 1850 there have been over 220 attempts to break up the state.
Wow. And
none of them have succeeded. And of course, the reason why they haven't succeeded actually is because they never read the Constitution. That's about as plain as I can put it. Article 4, Section 3 of the Constitution states that if you want to form a state from a pre-existing state, then you have to have the permission of the legislature concerned and then that of the Congress. So it's a two-step process, but the language is a little bit baffling to some people because it says, we have three elements of government. We have the legislative, we have the judiciary, and we have the executive. And it says very clearly in Article 4, Section 3 that we have to get the permission of the legislature concerned, which means we don't get the permission of the governor and we don't get the permission of the courts. And so we took the road, of course, going down that we're going to negotiate with the California legislature, which is exactly what had to happen with West Virginia and Kentucky and Maine when they broke away. So when they formed from this process. So we'll be the fourth state that's run through this process, and right now it's working out for us very, very well. We've declared our independence. We followed the West Virginia model. We declared independence on January 15, 2018. And since then, we've accumulated 56 of the 58 counties, either whole or part of the counties of California. So we have committees in 56 counties already. Some of the committees are stronger than others. It's a developmental thing. And, it's kind of like any other personnel thing. People come and people go. But we've got strong committees. We've had 7 constitutional conventions. We've established a bicameral legislature. We passed 26 resolutions. 2 of those resolutions are actually on the desk of the president. And we're just moving right along. In the last convention, we had Candace Owens come out and speak on our behalf, and Dinesh D'Souza, and the one before that, Mike Huckabee came out and was a keynote speaker for us. So we're moving right along. It looks like we're right now in negotiations with some of the members of the legislature at hand in California, and they're being very responsive to us because California is technically bankrupt, and it doesn't look like it's going to get out of this financial situation anytime soon. The only way out for it is to form a new state, and New California is ready to do that.
Okay, so I have 2 questions. I guess I'll ask the first one. It seems to be the one that will have a real short answer, probably. So there's a 2-step process. You said you have to go to the state legislature and get their approval, or get them to at least vote to say this is a good thing. Well, your legislature, they don't want to do that because you're going to leave them with all the bankrupted spots, aren't you? I mean, they don't have a good reason to let you go.
Actually, they've got a very, very good reason, and they're very anxious to let us go. And the reason is that they are broke and financially destitute. Really, that's what they are. And we are the solution for them. And we're going to offer them a deal in which we'll be more than happy to assume our part of the debt, which is 50%. When we took a look at the map of California, we started to think about how we could divide it up. Is it going to be 3 states? Is it going to be 2 states? What's it going to look like? And I said, why don't we look at how we can divide it up 50-50, just on a whim. And so finally we said the only way you can do that is, Well, let's take a look at rural versus urban populations and where the population centers are. And as it turned out, there's 40 million people that live in California for the most part. And in the areas, the urbanized areas of California, in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Sacramento area, there's about 20 million people. So, I'm not a math genius, but I realize when there's 40 million and there's 20 in that area, there's got to be in the rural parts of California another 19 to 20 million. And that's the way it worked out. So that's why when you take a look at our map, you see that the rural area is about 90% of California, and the rest is left up to New California. The rest is left to California. Now, what that means is that the financial obligation that California has always had on these rural areas, which has been a financial drag from the get-go, they will not have the responsibility for. The other part of it is that we are going to back them financially. We're talking about the state of California, so that they can dig themselves out of debt. What you have in California now is a socialist, communist style of economy. And it's dependent upon how much money they can get from the federal government and how much money they can get from the taxpayer and all their big businesses. Well, all their big businesses and the small businesses, middle income people, have all left the state because of the overtaxation and the overburden of the regulations that they have. And so that's why they have such a huge deficit, because one, they can't stop spending. They just can't. The compulsion for the liberal mind and the socialists to continue to spend on whatever they want for social programs or whatever is something they just have not modified. Now, in their situation, right now, they're about $120 billion in debt. I tell this to people all the time. I said, imagine you wake up one morning, you're going to say, well, I'm going to go down and go shopping. And I look at my checkbook and I go to the bank statement on the computer, and I see that all of a sudden, somehow, it's redlined, and I'm in debt personally $3 million. And on the positive side of the checkbook, I got $0. I'm in debt. That's what's happened to California, is they're that far in debt, and that's why they've closed down the state. Literally, they're not providing the basic services of a state as they're obligated to do, which is protection, keep us all safe, and then educate the children. And right now, it's devastating to what's happening to our children. They haven't been in school for months now, and of course, the social isolation that's going on is adding even more fuel to the fire. So all in all, they're going to be very happy. And in fact, many of them have already expressed how happy they would be to get rid of the debt, get rid of that debt burden. And there's also, for a lot of these folks, which hasn't really come up in the conversation too much, but there's a lot of legal obligations by which they're bound. And some of them, I know there are investigations from Washington going on criminally for some of these individuals. So
Okay.
That's going to be another motivator.
So my other question was, what does the new state look like and is it called the new state of California versus California and then the new state, or are you going to be California and East California? What's your name? And also, I just kind of want to look at this map. I live in Reno, so Sacramento is less than 100 miles really from me, and so I'm looking at that and wondering just how that looks. You're going to keep Sacramento, San Francisco, and LA. What about San Diego? Where do those guys fit in? So talk to me a little bit about what
Sure.
the state looks like and what's its name.
Well, the state is actually New California, and officially, just like the banner you have for the great state of Nevada, we have one too. It looks very similar, but it's called the state of New California, or New California for short. And we looked at a lot of different names, and we realized that actually people started calling us when they heard the rumor that we're going to be a new state. And some people got to us pretty early, especially the wine industry. And they said, "Do you know how much money we have invested in the name California?" And I said, well, how about New California? And it just kind of struck a chord with everybody when we started saying that, because people like, I heard the Pawneesh of California and all that stuff. Everybody has a lot of really good memories about California. Right now, it's a nightmare. And I think when we come in with the name of New California, it kind of settles everybody down and says, we're a lot different place. And of course, the difference in our New California is our economy. We're going to go back to being a free market entrepreneurial economy again, and none of the socialist style economy, and none of this overburdened with regulations and high taxes.
Well,
That'll solve our problems.
We need to go to a break. We've been talking with our guest, Paul Preston, who is the founder and president of the State of New California movement. And we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM, FM 24/7. Of course, you can listen to us and watch us on the AUN TV network. And it sounds like our network studios are going to be, our AUN network studios are going to be there in the new state of California, most of them, Redding, Chico,
Oh, yeah.
Fort Bragg. Anyway, I'm Sharon Engel. I'm here with my co-host, Rick Trader, and we'll be right back after these messages to find out how much out-migration there's going to be from California to New California.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and zero deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos. Excuse me. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for a rebroadcast of our show, be it our radio show or our TV show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Also, check out the website of the AUN TV network at aun-tv.com for all the great programs on the network. This is a guest I think we're going to be hearing from more and more often in the time to come here on Conservative Commandos. Paul Preston is the founder and president of the Movement for New California State. Paul is also the host on Red State Talk Radio's Agenda 21 Radio. Paul, thank you for holding through that break. Really appreciate your time. Paul, as you said, there have been numerous efforts to try to split up the state of California. You said yours is new because finally people are looking at and reading the Constitution. Well, Paul, what took them so long?
I don't know.
What took them so long to find this Article 4, Section 3 part of the Constitution?
Well, I have no idea. But, we're going through some similar times as the people in West Virginia. And, back in 1861, people had a lot different mindset about how the Constitution was read and interpreted. And they were more of the originalist variety of constitutionalists, as we are in New California. And so we just took a look at it, basically through a lot of years of, I think, good education on my part from some of my professors in college who were, as they turned out, to be originalist constitutionalists. I just started remembering and thinking back and then researching. And as I read it more and more, and I got with some legal counsel, some of the advisors who, real originalist constitutionalist attorneys who advised us about 8 or 9 years ago, we started realizing that we had the key. We had the pathway forward. And in fact, it was one of our state legislators here in California I had a conversation with, and this is at the time of the Jefferson movement. And he said to me clearly that the Jefferson movement was going in the wrong direction because he didn't see a pathway forward. And he just looked at me square in the face and he said, there is a pathway forward and you must find it and follow it. And of course, that was the Article 4, Section 3 pathway and the key is you work with the legislature concerned. And then the tie into that is what did they do in West Virginia to do that? And of course, they were faced with a crisis of the Civil War. They had a lot of demands on them, and they had to get their county committees together, which is the key thing. They got county committees together, and they started to work directly with the legislature. But they had a stumbling block, and that's what's so unique about West Virginia. The stumbling block was the Civil War, and the stumbling block was the fact that right in the middle of their desire to form a new state, because they didn't want to go with Virginia and be with Virginia because it was going to be a slave state when it broke away to become part of the Confederacy. So they started forming the new state, and then lo and behold, there was a convention about the Confederacy, and Virginia decided to leave. And so when they left, that meant that West Virginians could not go to the Virginia legislature because they had left the Union. They could not work with them like we're doing right now with our legislature.
Right.
So there was an insurrection, basically. And they didn't declare the Insurrection Act because it was a civil war, but in essence, it was an insurrection. And so they left, and so it left everybody in West Virginia high and dry because they then appealed directly to the Congress. And the Congress said, no, you have to play by the rules of the Constitution, and you have to get the approval of the legislature concerned, like it says, from your own state. And so they said, well, we can't do that. They said, well, that's your problem. So they came back to West Virginia, or to Virginia, and they met in session, and they met with Francis Pierpont. And Francis Pierpont stood up and he said, I'm going to be the governor of the restored government of Virginia, because we are in this crisis. Virginia left us. We didn't leave them. We didn't approve it. And so therefore we still have custody. And they made that argument actually to the Congress, and the Congress turned them down originally. And so they formed a government. They did all the things they had to do. And then they decided, well, how can we make this happen? So they had to appeal to one of the men they hated the most at the time, and that was President Abraham Lincoln. And so Lincoln solved the problem and helped the Congress to approve it. And that provided the approval to go on.
Paul, when you talk about insurrection, I got to ask, how are the people in these areas feeling about it? Not just the people who are in the new California, what about the people that are in the old California? Do you have a sense of how the peeps feel?
Elated. elated in both areas. And unfortunately, in some of those areas, we're not going to be able to take them because of our population. We made a determination it's going to be a population that pretty much drives it.
Well, you can't stop people. You can't stop people from moving out. I mean, my gosh, we hear a lot about the migration out of California as it is into Nevada. By the way, I picked up you said Nevada and not Nevada, and that makes the people on the other side of the Sierra very happy. But how can you stop people from getting out of old California into new California, or vice versa?
Well, we don't intend to, but in fact, they're more than welcome. And we and we've gotten the biggest pitch I have all the time is from people that are in old California. They figured out they're in old California and they don't want to be in old. So I get people trying to negotiate down in central Los Angeles, and it just doesn't work. But I tell them you're more than welcome in new California. We're going to have a new constitution.
Right.
Period. The California Constitution has been amended since 1879 over 600 times. I spoke to a group of corporate people in Newport Beach the other night, and I asked them, I said, in your corporations, these are multi-billion-dollar corporations, I said, in your corporations, have you changed your corporate bylaws 600 times? And if you have, what kind of a corporation do you have?
Well, I got to ask you, you know how this goes. You have a radio show and you only have so much time. There's a couple of questions I got to get in. You talked about going to the legislature, but what about going to the people? Is this something that there'll be a referendum on?
No, this is actually done directly through the legislature concerned and then that of the Congress. And the reason is that the founding fathers realized that when a state gets into this kind of condition, that the leaders of the state who have brought it this way have actually reverse engineered the Constitution. They've destroyed the Constitution. So all elements of government, in their opinion, would be corrupted, which is exactly where we are in California. So a vote would be irrelevant, and I think we're seeing why it would be irrelevant based upon what's happening with Donald Trump right now.
Paul, I got to ask you about borders. How do you connect old California? How do you connect new California up? I'm looking at a map, and judging by this map, there's 3 areas that would be in the old California. One would be Los Angeles County. The other would be the San Francisco area. The third being the Sacramento area. San Francisco and California are a couple hundred miles apart, and then Sacramento is another, 50 miles out of San Francisco. So it seems like, these borders would look like a gerrymandered legislative district in a sense. Paul, there are a couple of states that have different sections of it, Virginia being one, Michigan being another. So there's nothing written that says that states have to have continuous borders. And wanted to get your thoughts about how the borders would look and how they would be drawn.
Well, the borders as they stand look like they do on the map. We don't intend to back away from that. That's a manageable size area for California and the urbanized California. Anything else would be really unmanageable to them, and that they've proven that over time. So the borders, like you say, in other states, there are non-contiguous borders in other states, and that's exactly the way it would be with California versus New California.
All right. Do me a favor, Paul. When you get your new state going, would you put large walls around Los Angeles, Sacramento, and San Francisco to keep those people in place so they don't go to places like New California or Texas or Nevada? Please don't do it. Please put up those walls.
If they want to be socialists, they can be socialists in their happy little nirvana down there in California. All they want to be, but not in New California. We're going to be a completely opposite state from what they offer now.
Did you hear what I said? I said Nevada. Please forgive me, people from Nevada. But Paul Preston, founder and president of the Movement for New California State. Paul, we want to thank you for joining us. Also, Agenda 21 Radio on Red State Talk Radio. That has something to do with that Scott Adams guy. And Paul, please tell our audience how they could find out more about New California and also to listen to your show.
Well, you can go to newcaliforniastate.com. That's the best way to get information. You can sign up and get our newsletters. We put publications out several times a week about New California. We also have a free conference call it's a public conference call on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. And also on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. It's open to the public. We have hundreds of people who sit in and listen, ask questions, and so on. We're pretty transparent about what we're doing. So you can listen to us, you can hear about us, you can email us. We'll get back to you, especially if you're in the counties and you want to become part of this, or if you're basically have left and gone to our sister state over there in Nevada. You can come back. You can always do those sort of things. And we welcome them. We know that there's going to be a big migration back to New California. We understand that. The realtors are already talking to us about it. They anticipate high prices and, that whole 9 yards. But, we have a government to put up. But anyway, Agenda 21 Radio, we're quite controversial. We've been on the air now in a digital format for almost 10 years as Agenda 21 Radio. And we are the antidote to the United Nations Agenda 21. And that's why I say we're quite controversial. You can catch my show live from 6 to 9 a.m. 5 days a week, and then it plays 3 times during the day. And we have a huge listenership now, and we're out on YouTube, back out on YouTube, and that is going through the roof too right now. So everybody wants our kind of news. That's what they want.
Paul Preston, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care. God bless, and keep us informed, will you, Paul?
We sure will. No problem.
All right. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be speaking with Jay Homnick. He's a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research, talking about what's at stake in the Georgia recount. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The secret war is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for a rebroadcast, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. And hey, be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And with that, Sharon, we do have our next guest with us. And as you do with all our guests, Sharon, please make them feel welcome.
Well, it's really an honor and a privilege to introduce Jay Homnick, who is a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research. He also served as a reservist in the Israel Defense Forces. He has written a book. His most recent book, by the way, is Bullet In from Sinai: The Moral Case for Gun Rights. If you say it fast, it's bulletin, right? Bulletin from Sinai. So a little play on words there in the title of his book. Jay, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Sharon, always great to see you. And in my mind, you'll always be the true senator from Nevada.
Thank you, Jay. Well, I was interested in your article. It says King's Gambit. That's a chess term, I think. What's at stake in the Georgia recount? How long can Joe Biden remain above the fray? It's not just Georgia, is it? I mean, it's all over the United States that we're having this fray. But let's hone in on Georgia and talk a little bit about the King's Gambit, if you will.
Well, you'll notice that we all remember from 2000, Bush versus Gore, that Gore had lawyers in every minute, and Bush had lawyers facing him down, and everything was the Bush lawyers against the Gore lawyers. But here we have the Trump lawyers against who? The state commissions, the secretaries of state, but maybe even the Democratic Party in some states. But there has been no such thing as a Biden lawyer. And that's part of a gambit. That means that's a strategy that they have come up with to be dismissive of all the things Trump is doing as frivolous. And so we don't even send a lawyer down there. We don't even bother with it. They should take care of it on the local level. And that's just a gambit. The thing about a gambit is that it can turn into a gamble. Because a gambit is when you hold yourself back, like in chess, or you let the other person take a piece, but to get yourself into a better position. But if it doesn't work out exactly like that, all of a sudden you find you're running behind because the other guy's been out there on the playing field for a while, and you haven't been competing. So what type of thing? You know, as we listen to Sidney Powell over here, they're putting out a lot of information. What type of thing can change the calculation and force Biden's attorneys to suddenly show up, as I say in the article, out of hibernation? What can make that happen? And my argument is that one of two things. Either in the Georgia recount itself, which is winding down, just a couple of days left, either in the Georgia recount itself they find that there's a big difference between the amount of votes the computer tallied and the amount of paper votes that they actually have. That will tell us that the computer was tampering with it. The minute that happens, then in all these other states, the lawsuits will have much more credibility. Now, it is possible that because Georgia had a Republican governor, that they were afraid to tamper with the computers. The Democrats would be doing the tampering might have been afraid to mess with it with a Republican governor. So the fallback would be the Wisconsin recount. And President Trump has to announce tomorrow whether he's going to ask for that recount. They threw him a bill of $8 million, which is way overcharging. But the fact is that in my new article, which is on the Spectator website right now, it's called Milwaukee is Brewing. and and that the fight is brewing because if I think Trump has to spend $8 million, Because one thing is for sure, if this I can say this with utter certainty, I think everyone will acknowledge that I'm right on this, that if it's true that they mess with the computers, there are 3 states they had to mess with. The 3 states, it can't be that they mess with computers and they skipped any one of these 3 states, which are Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, because those are the 3 states that Trump pickpocketed from Biden last time around. From the last time wasn't Biden, it was Clinton. But the point is, those are 3 states the Democrats used to always win, and suddenly Trump stole those states. That one. So if they're messing with the computers, it certainly has to be. You can't tell me that they did it in Pennsylvania, but they didn't do it in Wisconsin. You had 3 Democrat governors, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and I say spend the $8 million if you have to. But the minute you find in any one of these states that they tampered with the computers, then all the judges in all the states are going to find it very difficult to turn down the lawsuits, and suddenly all the Biden lawyers are going to show up.
Well, it's interesting to me that today they found a thumb drive in Georgia with 2,700 votes that were never counted on that thumb drive, and I guess from everything I've been reading that these machines, that's where the tampering goes on, is with the transfer of those votes from the place where the polling was done to the place where the counting is done. So it is those thumb drives that are in question. And so now that they found this questionable thumb drive, would you say that amounts to tampering?
Well, the thing is that thumb drive was not entered. And so it's just those votes never were entered. And Raffensperger, who's the Secretary of State in Georgia, he's a Republican, and he's been making a big point of saying that he asked the guy to resign and that it's a terrible oversight, but these kinds of things happen. But again, it doesn't really help Trump, because Trump needs to find evidence of a difference between the number that was counted in the precinct and the number that was received in the headquarters, where they aggregate the total. That would show that the computer is being tampered with in transit, and people working hard, honestly, count the number, put it into the machine, and a different number comes out of the other side. Once you find that in any one of these states, at that point, the judges in all the other states have to take all of this much more seriously, and then you'll see Biden all of a sudden will not be able to play above the fray and dismiss it, and all these attorneys are going to have to come and start fighting.
Okay, so, and then at that point, they're going to be behind the action, is what you're saying, because they haven't really been playing all this time.
Exactly. So we built up I don't say we, I'm theoretically a nonpartisan, I'm just a columnist. I'm not, and the London Center is certainly a nonpartisan organization. We recommend public policy. And by the way, we just had the biggest victory of all on public policy. There's another subject, but it was our policy propounded by Herb London, our founder, who passed away 2 years ago, which was to make peace with the perimeter countries in the Middle East. And so the Abraham Accords is actually our policy papers that were put into practice. A great victory. So our think tank has become much more prominent in recent days. And one of the areas we focus on is election integrity, election security. We have a lot of military background people, law enforcement background people, legal people, and a lot of our people are going right into the fray here. Biden's out of the fray, but we're in. But we're in on a nonpartisan basis. We just want to fight for the truth, justice, and the American way.
And the American way, yeah. So we, you're talking about now that we've got election integrity issues that your London Center has been looking at overseas stuff, and now we're hearing that our election machines are at least made overseas, and that much of the data is stored overseas. I heard the other day that some of our elections data is in Germany. How does that make and if that's true, how does that make our elections secure if we've got it all over the world?
Well, I'm going to answer your question quickly, and then I'm going to use your question as an opening to offer an amazing theory that you won't hear anywhere else.
Okay.
So this will be an exclusive scoop theory, my theory, but I'll offer them. But to answer your question quickly, it's obviously not a very good idea. We don't want to have our medical equipment coming from China. We don't want to have our voting equipment being based in other countries. It's a little absurd. I think there's enough space in the United States somewhere. I mean, don't put it out in Nevada where they'll blow it up with the nuclear test. But and you don't want to put it in the Nevada desert where they bury the mobsters. But other than that, most other states you could store it. I would think, right? So and plus, don't forget, we have the most secure storage place in the United States, which is Hillary Clinton's bathroom. Right? So we can use that. And so that's to answer your question. Of course, we should be storing it here, and it's very insecure to do it abroad. And I'm sure anyone who was asked to write a paper for any Homeland Security or CIA, that they're going to say right away, "Hello, what are you showing me here? How could this be happening?" But apparently no one paid attention to it, so it happens. But here's the theory that I want to offer you. I think nobody has considered this, but which is that if it's true that there now is a national security issue about voting, both because things are being stored abroad and because in the most recent affidavit that Sidney Powell actually read over the air to Lou Dobbs, he was trying to go on with the show and he's reading the affidavit. In that affidavit, he argues that when the machines are online, they can actually be controlled from abroad in real time. They can be altered from abroad in real time, so here's my point, that makes it a national security investigation. And so that means theoretically, and this has never happened in American history, but I think theoretically the Justice Department could come in and seize the votes in Pennsylvania and Michigan as evidence in an international case. So no judge could stop them. If they get a warrant, that is, if Justice Alito, let's say, signs a warrant, no one can beat his warrant. They come in, they seize all the votes, and they do a recount as a search for evidence. And so then, even without any of the judges giving you a recount, the Justice Department can do its own recount to make as a search for evidence in the issue of possible international interference. It's a fantastic legal theory, and nothing like that ever happened. But it would really be.
I hope
it would blow the whole thing up. Everyone would love it.
I hope Sidney Powell is listening to our radio show and watching our TV show, and here's how you plan to solve this. And I think it's not just Pennsylvania and Michigan. It's anybody that has those Dominion voting machines, and Nevada is one of those states. So bring it on. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM FM 24/7. Now you can hear us and see us on the AUN TV network in Northern California, places like San Francisco, South Bay, Marin, Fort Bragg, Sacramento, Chico, Redding, many, many places. And I'm Sharon Engel here with my co-host, Rick Trader. We're going to be right back with our guest, John D. Homnick, J.D. Homnick, who is a senior fellow at the London Center of Policy Research. We've been talking about the King's Gambit. What's at stake in the Georgia recount, and how long can Joe Biden remain above the fray?
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And once again, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. We share an angle, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for a rebroadcast of our show, be it our radio show or our television show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Also, check out the website of the American Uncensored News Network at awn-tv.com. Jay Homnick is our guest this segment. He's a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research. What a background. Served in the Israeli Defense Forces, is an author, writer, lecturer, and has written a book, Bullet In from Sinai, The Moral Case for Gun Rights. And we're discussing King's Gambit. What's at stake at the in the Georgia recount? Jay, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time. And, you know, Jay, I say this all the time. Sharon will back me up on this. I learned so much from our guest. I become their student. They become our teacher. There's so many things I learned in your article. One is no Biden lawyers on the ground. I expected there to be lawyers, guns, and money all over the place. And you say it's a gambit or a gamble and may backfire. And talk about the difference between a gambit and a gamble.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of my friends said to me, I love the article, but especially I'm thrilled that someone finally explained to me the difference between a gambit and a gamble. So apparently that was a fringe benefit of the article. A gamble is you put up some thing of value at risk in the hope that it will bring some form of profit. But in most cases, a gamble is you do not control the key, the lever that will determine. So you put up your money on a game, you think your team's going to win that game, but you don't control. They play the game, not you. A gambit, usually used in chess, but of course it can be applied to life as well, which is where you accept a risk in a case where you anticipate a benefit, but you think you can control the circumstances. So like in chess, you can move a piece that you think the guy will be tempted to grab, your opponent will grab it. But by grabbing it, he moves himself into a vulnerable position that he doesn't anticipate. So if he takes the piece, that's good for you. If he ignores it, you didn't lose that much. And so that's how Gambit works, in that it's more where, same thing with the risk for the benefit, but you think you have it mapped out. And I'm saying that Biden thinks he has this mapped out. He figures all he has to do is act like he's the president-elect. He's got the office of the president-elect with the seal and the whole business. Even
Jay, when I read this in your article, it made me think back to his campaign. The fact that he really didn't campaign. He wasn't out there very much. So was that a gamble or was that a gambit?
Well, I don't think that was a gamble or a gambit. I think they were busy cheating. They figured they don't need a campaign if they're going to rig the system.
Jay, another thing I really loved about your article is you pointed out that there are forms of fraud a recount will fail to catch. So can you talk about the forms of cheating that a recount won't catch and that the forms of cheating a recount will catch?
Yeah, I think this is a very important distinction, and that was one of my main reasons for writing the article in that way, because I thought people are not distinguishing between the two. And the ones the recount will not catch is where there is a fraudulent ballot that was put in. Any kind of fraudulent ballot, pretty much, where you put in a dead guy's name, you put in your neighbor's name who is not interested in voting, but as long as there's a ballot sitting there, then when they recount, they find a ballot to account for the vote. So they're not going to detect the fraud that's behind the vote, which is that the vote is really not a vote of a person who's eligible to vote. They're not going to find that as long as they find a ballot. No one's going to sit there with each ballot and start doing detective work in a recount. Whereas, here's the contrast, any tampering that's done where the cheating is done without a ballot present for it, will turn up. So, for example, there's a young woman who did an affidavit in Detroit TCF Center. She was there doing IT, and she was watching them tabulate. And she says that they were entering the same ballot multiple times. So if you, let's say, got 20,000 ballots and you pass them through the machine 4 times, some states have systems preventing that. Michigan doesn't. So, but that would mean that if we come to recount the 80,000 ballots recorded, we're only going to find 20,000. So in the recount is going to catch the fraud. That's one example. And the other example where the recount will catch the fraud is if the fraud is done inside the computer, like what Sidney Powell is alleging, that they're actually writing software to change the tallies after people honestly computed and put in tallies, that the number they put in is not the number that comes out the other side. And then again, there's going to be a different number of votes on the other end than the amount of ballots you have. But there is a type of cheating by computer where it's going to be a little harder to catch. Well, let's leave that out. It's going into the weeds. But basically, I think this gives everyone an idea of the things that get caught, the things that don't get caught. I will tell you off the record. I guess we're on the record. So
we're kind of on the record.
Yeah. So off the record, on the record, it's believed by the Republican investigating teams. It is believed that there was a preparation of ballots where large quantities of ballots were filled out in advance of Election Day. And the way they do that, it's a very simple idea. They go into the county, into the city, into the state, and you can unload the database in a second, especially if you're working within the party. And they ask the database, tell us names of people who did not vote in 2016 and 2018, who are registered to vote, Democrats, but they didn't vote in 2016 and 2018. Now, we know the turnouts are always 45, 50%, 60%. So this means there's plenty of people who haven't voted, who registered years ago on a whim, and the registration's on the books, they don't tend to vote. So once the database feeds you that out in a minute, you got a printout of hundreds of thousands of people. You can then sit
well,
down.
That's uncatchable, right? Because those ballots are already in, and you can't discern those from the other. Hey, Jay, we got to run in a minute, but I do have one quick question. I'll need a quick answer from you. Are you a gambler or a chess player? And this is for on the record, Jay, and want to know if you're a gambler or a chess player, and how are you playing this out?
Well, I gamble when I have money that I can afford to lose. I play chess when I need to win.
All right. Jay Homnick, the London Center for Policy Research, we want to thank you for joining us. We also want to thank you for continuing the legacy of our very good friend, Herb London, who is a guest on this show many times. And Jay, please tell our audience how they could follow your work, read this article, great article, and also to follow the work of the London Center.
Well, londoncenter.org, that's our website. We have a tremendous amount of material, including you can watch me on TV over there as well in our own programming. And good articles as well. And of course, as the former editor of the American Spectator, which is spectator.org, they do run a lot of my articles as well. So we're out there fighting all the time, and may the good prevail.
All right. Jay, again, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Pleasure seeing you guys, and don't be strangers.
Don't you be a stranger. We're here all the time. Don't you be the stranger. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. A conservative with a conscience will be joining us next, and that's our very good friend, Dr. Rich Swier of the Dr. Rich Swier Report. Don't go away. We'll be right back right after this break.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And as I love to say, for rebroadcast, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. You'll find our TV show there, our radio show there, and a lot of other terrific articles and information. And Sharon, I don't know who this guy is, but it's up to you to introduce him.
He's actually a longtime friend of Conservative Commandos radio show.
I don't know how much of a friend he is, you know. And
Dr. Rich Swier, who is a conservative with a conscience. Rich is a 23-year Army veteran who retired as a lieutenant colonel. He was awarded the Legion of Merit for his years of service, and additionally, he was awarded 2 Bronze Stars with V for heroism in ground combat, the Presidential Unit Citation, the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry, while serving with the 101st Airborne Division in Vietnam. And Dr. Rich now publishes the Dr. Schweier.com report, a daily review of news, issues, and commentary. And before we get started too far, I always like to thank Dr. Rich for his service to our country. It's because of wonderful patriots and truly heroes like Dr. Rich that we do have a free country. So thank you very much. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show. Once again, Dr. Rich Swier.
Well, thank you so much. And listen, I just want to say blessings to both you and Rick. You too are serving this nation by what you're doing. You're putting your lives, your treasure, and your honor on the line here by speaking the truth to the American people. And you know what? That's what I fought for. I fought so that you could speak freely in this country. You could petition your representatives, and we can have religious liberty. And that's what my oath was, to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We seem to have a lot of domestic enemies going around.
My goodness, but that isn't the truth.
I want to hit a high note. Yeah, I want to hit a high note because, I know there's a lot of people that are stressed out about what's going on with this election and the fraud and so on. And I want to kind of step back a minute and say, look, we just finished Halloween. My wife just had a Halloween party literally on our driveway. We had 18 people there. And you know what? It was the scariest Halloween party we've ever held. You know why? My wife on the invite said, you cannot wear a mask. We're coming up on Thanksgiving. We're coming up on Christmas, and of course we're going to have a New Year's Day, all right? We need to think about that. That's not going to stop. We're going to give thanks with family and friends, unless you're in certain cities, like St. Louis.
I was thinking, Chicago, even in certain states, right? Philly, California, they've even like canceled Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they're locking it down. Michigan. I just talked to my brother yesterday, and I was shocked. He said St. Louis, the city of my birth. The mayor, a woman, Lyda Cruson, has ordered as of 12:01 this morning, a.m., she ordered another lockdown for 4 weeks.
Well, Dr. Rich, where she got that idea?
Joe Biden.
Mayor of Philadelphia. From the mayor of Philadelphia, who did the same thing yesterday morning.
Yeah.
Put Philadelphia back in quarantine. And it's very selective. It's very selective what can and cannot be open. For instance, bars, restaurants cannot be open. Health clubs can't be open. Churches, like 5 people for every 10,000 square feet, 5 people. It's very selective, Dr. Rich. And Sharon, I know this is your time, but Dr. Rich, I wrote an article a while back, and you were gracious enough to publish it. Is the coronavirus a magnifying glass on the bigger and more intrusive government? And Dr. Rich, if you remember, I wrote this in the article, that these politicians are now so emboldened by the powers that they have grabbed. No one voted these politicians this kind of power. They have taken it, yet the sheeple are going along with it, Dr. Rich.
Well, look, a shutdown is the new slavery. It's COVID. I've heard the phrase, and I actually used the phrase, that COVID is 90% politics and 10% virus. It's a virus that you have 99% recovery rate from. We now have not only do we have in the hospitals as we speak, particularly here in the beautiful state of Florida, which, by the way, is open. Florida is open for business. If you want to come on down here to Florida, we're open for business, all right? And we're open all across. I mean, we went out to dinner last night, had a wonderful time. But anyway, what I'm finding is this is a useful excuse to grab power. COVID is about power. It's about control. It's about making us do what we don't want to do, but using the excuse, well, you're saving lives, okay? Now, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We just had a group. I belong to a motorcycle group, what I call a biker gang. We're a little old, okay? We don't have tattoos. Most of the guys drive really expensive motorcycles like BMW and big Hondas and stuff like. And they're all former CEOs and all that stuff. Some of them are retired military like me. Some are retired law enforcement. We had a breakfast at a local restaurant. 14 of us. 14 of us. Okay. Great time. This is Florida. Come on down. The sun. We're getting nice and cool. You know, it's beautiful. The beaches are beautiful. Come on down.
Well, let's get back to a place where I want to go with you. You wrote an article a while back called The 4 Pillars of Election Fraud. And I want to talk to you a little bit about just what's going on. You know, we know the China virus stuff. We know the protest stuff. And now we've got the election fraud. It seems like everything is a crisis to these folks. And now we've got a crisis with the election. And it seems like it gets more and more of a crisis, I guess, every day that the election goes on. And I say it goes on because we still haven't certified this election. This election, the press tried to call it, but it's not a done deal at all, is it, Dr. Rich?
No, and that's the key. The process we're going through right now is a constitutional process. Each state is required to certify that those ballots that are cast are in fact legal ballots. That's simple. It's not complex. The problem is that we're seeing in certain cities, particularly probably five cities are driving the boat on this. All right, they're the ones driving the fraud. There's also this company called Dominion Voting. I wrote an article. I think you may have read it, but servers were seized in Germany. All right, those servers had millions and millions of data points of American voters. All right, if you were part of the Dominion system, which is a touchscreen system, all right, it's a touchscreen system. There's no actual ballot you fill out. It's a touchscreen. So you're depending on the machine to count it. Well, now we're seeing multiple reports from multiple news agencies, not Fox, not CNN, not ABC, but other credible news agencies like Epoch Times and others, talking about Dominion. And Dominion is key. And Dominion is key because it is in 600 different counties in 22 states. 600 different counties. So it has literally the potential to control tens of millions of votes. Tens of millions of votes, particularly those in key states. So that is one of the main pillars that the Democrats have figured out. And oh, by the way, Dominion admitted that they had received funding from key Democrats.
Wow.
And it also, I just published an article that 96% of the people in Dominion donated to Democratic politicians.
Unbelievable.
So,
hey, Dr. Rich, I got to ask you, I know we're talking about the 4 pillars of election fraud, but we do need to take a break. And I know you'll be able to stick with us through the break. After break, we'll pick this up. And Sharon, I want you to chime in on this. I know you know more about election fraud than 99% of the people out there, but you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Conservative with a Conscience is joining us, Dr. Rich Swier, and we're going to be picking up the conversation about the 4 pillars of election fraud right after this break.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Shout out time to folks who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida. Las Vegas, Reno, and Sparks, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network in San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Santa Rosa, Redding, Chico, Sacramento, Fort Bragg, and Napa Valley. Our friend and Conservative with the Conscience is with us, Dr. Rich Swier. He's also the publisher of the drrichswire.com report. Sharon, please pick up this conversation with Dr. Rich. We're talking about the 4 pillars of election fraud. Very important topic.
When we left off, before the break, you were talking about the Democrats had a hand in these Dominion voting machines, and now we're finding here in Nevada that there's some Republican involvement. So this doesn't necessarily follow party lines. This Dominion has been given campaign contributions on both sides of the aisle, right?
Yes, and what's interesting is the 22 states are not all blue states. They're red and blue. As a matter of fact, Florida. There are counties within the state of Florida that use this touchscreen system. All right. The problem being is we actually had an IT person, a woman, a very brave young woman who came forward, who's an IT person who was overseeing the elections in Detroit, and she came forward and did an affidavit, which is one of the many hundreds of affidavits that are being used to show voter fraud. If you prove voter fraud, then the election is irrelevant. It's unconstitutional. If you have massive voter fraud, we're talking massive voter fraud. But it's not only just that. For example, mail-in ballots. This whole concept, and again, that's also based on COVID. The whole concept was, you can't stand in line. You can go out and protest. You can gather by the tens of thousands and burn down businesses, but you can't stand in line and vote because of COVID. So therefore, we're going to do this wonderful thing called mail-in ballots. Well, guess what? The courts just nullified the governor of California's mail-in ballots order. I mean, Why? Because it's a fraud. There's actually a guy on Facebook who literally posted on his Facebook page. Now, some of these people are dumb, but he voted in 29 times in 29 counties in multiple swing states using mail-in voting. They're doing that right now in the great state of Georgia. They're flooding it with mail-in ballots. We also have what Tom Fenton and Judicial Watch has been going after for decades, is what's called faulty voter rolls. Dead people on voting, people voting who do not live in the state. Matter of fact, I think Laura Ingraham had a young man who now lives in Tennessee. He's an athlete who is trying out for the Olympics. He's an Olympic athlete. He voted in Kentucky. He used to live in Arizona. He got a notice that he just voted in Arizona, and he went, "What?" So he came on the Laura Ingraham show and said, "How can I vote in? I never voted in Arizona." And then now the other thing is too. I don't know if you noticed it, but if you were on the list, and I was on all the Democratic lists as well as the Republican list, up to and for the last year and a half, and the Democrats have been pushing USPS, United States Postal Service, okay? That is the end-all to end-all, the be-all to end-all. The USPS is where we need to be. We need to support those union members, and they're going to get those ballots right to us. Wrong. They were, multiple findings of ballots in, Dipsy dumpsters, not being delivered, being post-dated, predated, post-dated. There was actually a wedding that found mail-in ballots in a garbage can in Arizona. This is crazy. So this has been going on. This idea of voter fraud has been going on for decades. What really got it going this year is those anti-Trump people in both the Republican and Democrat Party saw an opportunity, and they took it. And if you look, I wrote an article that cheaters lie, liars cheat, and cheaters lie. And you know what? They've been lying and cheating for the last 50 years, and finally they just don't care anymore. They don't care if you know about it. And that's what's sad. That's what America's come to. And that's what the president is trying to fight for. It's not that he wants a second term. It'd be great if he does, and I think he will. But the point is, he's trying to make sure that our elections in the future are free and fair. If they're not, then what's the point?
Well, Dr. Rich, that's what frustrates me, and Sharon will back this up. I've said this many times. I think that the president made two mistakes during his presidency. One is he picked some not the best people, some of the not best people to serve on his cabinet. Remember Rex Tillerson? Okay, that one. The other thing, I think he should have foreseen this 3-4 years ago. And I think he should have done more to prevent voter fraud. My gosh, it's like, well, now the horse is out of the barn. We got to get him back. Well, it's more difficult to get the horse back into the barn than to prevent him from leaving in the first place. And I think that's a mistake the president made, not to foresee this happen.
Well, what's interesting is, you're right. The president has had to shuffle his staff multiple times because, look, he's not a politician.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that he didn't do more to prevent voter fraud.
Well, he was focused on the most important things in his. He was focused on what the American people wanted, which is job. Okay.
Well, and I think he should have paid a bit more attention to this. Sharon, am I wrong? Am I wrong? I think, my gosh, here we got voter fraud. They're stealing the presidency. What can be more important? This is a coup d'etat. This is a coup d'etat to steal a presidency. And we're not talking Venezuela, Cuba. We're not talking Colombia. We're not talking Brazil. We're talking here in the United States of America. They're stealing a presidency. What could be more important than that?
Well,
Sharon, am I wrong? Tell me.
Well, no, you're right, because you have to understand Dominion voting was used in Venezuela to steal that presidency. So why not use it here? It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Okay, Rick and Sharon, But look, don't get excited. There's still Trump has got a great team of lawyers. They're doing their job. The key is they have to do it because in order to save our free and fair election system, they have to prevail. Now, how this is going to happen, I don't think we're going to know, literally, until somewhere after Thanksgiving. Maybe not even, we may not even know on the 14th of December when technically the Electoral College is supposed to meet. So they may not even meet on the 14th of December. So this is getting crazier and crazier every day that I have one of my columnists, and Rick, you're you're fantastic. Your columns and your radio show is really spot on, and we just appreciate you being a part of our newsletter.
Well, let's put out a love fest. I love you too, Dr. Rich. I appreciate your, but again, Dr. Rich, this could have all been avoided. This could have been prevented. And I think most right-thinking Americans don't want to go through this. This is horrible. We should have learned the lesson from the year 2000 with that mess. Sharon, there's no one who knows voter fraud better than you. You are a victim of voter fraud. When I say, Sharon, this should have been foreseen. This should have been prevented. Talk to me, Sharon Angle.
Well, here in Nevada, we actually did a case in October saying if you allow this to go forward, we are going to have chaos in the election. And lo and behold, the thing that we said would happen happened. Their answer to us in October was it was hypothetical. Well, it's no longer hypothetical, and that's why we filed yesterday, because everything that we know and what Dr. Rich knows as well has happened, and we've got to put a stop to it.
And Sharon, God bless you. There are thousands. Look, there are thousands of lawsuits out there.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Rich, we got to run. I'm sorry to do this to you, but please tell our audience how they can follow your work, the work of the drrichswire.com report. And by the way, I understand you've been a bad boy again, that you're no longer on Facebook.
Yes, I've been banned from Facebook, but I am on Parler. So like me, go to Parler and type in Rich Swier, and you'll find my place and like me and follow me and do those things you have to do. But look, you just go to drrichswire.com. That's drrichswire.com, RICHSWIER.com, and read our report. We have 30 great, wonderful, fantastic contributors, including Mr. Rick Trader.
All right, Dr. Rich. Again, thank you. Thank you. God bless you. And thank you for your service to our country in the military and for what you continue to do even up until today. And that's help keep everybody informed.
Yes. And by the way, I want to thank President Trump for overturning that decision by the National Cemeteries Administration to do away with or stop wreaths across America.
I didn't even know that they were going to stop that. They were going to stop wreaths across America.
I know.
Well,
yeah, I know, Rick.
They want to cancel Christmas. They want to cancel Thanksgiving. They want to cancel New Year's. They want to cancel our way of life, and we, the sheeple, are letting them do it. But that's the topic for another day. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle. Yours truly, Rick Trader. Sharon and I will be back with more right after this break.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Well, Sharon, that just about wraps it up for today. I want to thank you for sitting in as my co-host. And Sharon, for those who want to know more about what you're doing when you're not here, and also the Election Integrity Project, give us the 411.
Okay. Well, of course, my website is SharonEngle.com, SharonEngle.com. And if you want to get more connected with the Election Integrity Project in Nevada, it is EIPNV.com, EIPNV.com. But I want to thank all of our guests today. Paul Preston, who is the founder and president of the Movement for New California State. Paul is also the host of Red State Talk Radio's Agenda 21 Radio, and he was talking to us about New California. I know that there's a lot of excitement to see where this will go and if they will be successful this time. He certainly had the constitutional precedent. Our second guest was Jay Homnick, who is the senior fellow at London Center for Policy Research. He served as a reservist in the Israeli Defense Forces and also has written books. He talked to us about what's at stake with the Georgia recount. We also got a little chess lesson on the difference between a gambit and a gamble. And finally, our guest, longtime friend, Dr. Rich Swier, talking about the lockdowns and Thanksgiving, but also about the 4 pillars of election fraud. And I just want to thank them all, Rick. They make our show.
Indeed, they did. I also want to say that if you're in California and you are sick and tired of election fraud, EIP also has a branch in California, EIP-CA. Is that correct, Sharon?
That's right, EIP-CA.com, EIP-CA.com.
But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.